This is Freemasonry's power move. Anybody who goes, they have a saying in their club, to destroy in business anyone who opposes them. But if you do the right thing, then they'll send the law after you. It's James Fetzer was spreading Sandy Hook truth. He got fined $450K. Very sane, sober guy, not working for money. Not like Alex Jones. I don't know what Alex Jones's deal is. I'm sure they're cooking his brain or whatever. John Carricow, the CIA whistleblower for torture, was the only man ever tried for torture. Your government is insanely corrupt. They poison the sky, food, water, medicine, babies with neurotoxins on purpose. Like, they know what neurotoxins do. They're Harvard and Yale grads. They're not stupid. People have known mercury's been poisoned for 5,000 years or whatever. People have known aluminum's been brain poison forever. They make sure they get it into babies. They make sure they get it into the sky. And they do this sort of thing. I just learned that it was 8 out of the 30 lottery winners in the Connecticut State Lottery the year after Sandy Hook had the same last name as Sandy Hook parents, and they were like weird last names like Lundquist and stuff. Like, could you imagine if you were in a large high school class and 8 people with the same last name as the people in your class won the lottery in the next year for over $1 million? Your government is insanely corrupt, and men like this get destroyed. Like, honest, decent men get destroyed by the best analogy, I guess, is a mafia-style government that we have. There's some honest senators, but all news is faked. All news is controlled by the cabal. It was what JFK said shortly before he got shot, that their mistakes are never published. Giant cabal of evil people that make sure they poison the sky, food, water, medicine with neurotoxins. Make sure that life sucks, so whatever evil spiritual forces they work for can, humans are so, I hate people. They make life suck. But anyway, that's what they do. They assassinated Pat Tillman. Pat Tillman, all-pro NFL linebacker. Joined the Iraq War after 9/11 out of patriotism. Found himself guarding poppy fields in Afghanistan, and he said, I'm going to go home and start an anti-war movement. That's what he told his squad. He was shot in the head 3 days later from 10 yards away. 3 rounds to the head. And this is an NFL linebacker. Like, you wouldn't be confusing him with a Taliban guy. Especially not from 10 yards away. Well, that's your government. That's the CIA, FBI, NSA, Freemasons, whoever they are. They do the brainwashing, indoctrination, stuff like I'm very sure JonBenet Ramsey with that little dent on her nose and her Freemason floor colors, that little skinny dent on her nose on the left side of her face. And Erica Kirk, who's the same age basically, same eye color, probably sex cult molested into their cabal. But they wanted to rein her in with their public blackmail. It was a month before Hillary Clinton lost. I mean, say what you will, she's, I guess, an insider, but not a full insider or something, I don't know. But a month before she lost, the bomb in Chelsea, New York. A week before Pam Bondi was set to release the Epstein files, when she said, I'll follow the letter of the law, there was a massacre in Bondi. Like, you read it and you're like, oh, massacre in Bondi, how terrible, that's in Australia, right? But Pam Bondi gets their message. But some of them, the brainwashing works, I guess. Again, it was the woman just watching, Anneke Lucas. It was a Belgian sex cult. Said they raped her from 5 years old to 9 years old. And then they turned her into a sex slave. and her job as a sex slave was to spy on other members of the cabal. Just, like these things, the level of surveillance. I don't know if you ever heard of whatchamacallit. What was the program where they monitor every single last word ever said? Echelon. That was back in 2007. That was common knowledge that they were monitoring every single word ever said on the internet. Like, there's no way that this stuff escapes their notice. There's no way that the FBI is running around being like, oh, a sex cult? Like, they're the ones guarding it. They're the ones saying, oh, this is how it works. We do that. Not a sex cult, right? Like, not a proper, we have an orgy on the weekend or wife swapping from the 70s. This is torture little girls, rape them systematically till their will breaks. It's the type of stuff that gave Britney Spears a meltdown. This is why, people are like, oh, we need to investigate. There were thousands of victims of Epstein, and we've got to go to the files. Like, where are those thousands of victims? They cart around 11 women. Nothing against those women, but if you're an elite billionaire running you see the picture of the one woman that got sent to the psych ward for exposing Epstein early on. Like, she's a Hollywood 10. She's supermodel hot. But the 11 women that they're running around saying that they were victims of Epstein, but they never have a word to say, are not supermodel hot. I don't mean to be gross, but so that's the cabal that runs all governments, runs NATO, did COVID to mask 5G EMF poisoning. George Floyd's brother got $400K off of the fake George Floyd shooting. I bet that picture was right after they got the money. Yeah, right after George Floyd got his $14 million on GoFundMe, and his daughter got $2 million, and his brother got $400K. They use GoFundMe. There's a real telling thing with all the fake news cycle. Like, Renee Good had 1.5 million the day after she was fake killed on GoFundMe. The church shooting in Texas, they opened I think it was 20 something victims, and there were 30 GoFundMes opened the next day. There's two real telling things with the fake news cycle is they always open a GoFundMe right away. And except the Sandy Hook moms started charities, the one mom's made $130 million in charity. And the case is always solved by the next day. Like a regular murder, unsolved for weeks, months, years, maybe never. A regular rape, unsolved for weeks, months, years, maybe never. But every last news story, packaged and sold the next day. The next day, we know who the terrorist is. We know who the victims are. We know all the names. There's no investigation. Because they have former CIA assets.
Your son, I think there's a lot of people.
Former CIA asset Anderson Cooper.
Where does your strength come from? I mean, you're smiling, you're able to talk about your son. I think there's a lot of people.
Again, with the same thing that I started talking about here. Like the one honest guy in the room. They disgraced him, said he was a crazy person for speaking 9/11 truth. Destroyed his career, his honor, his reputation. That's your government. That's most all governments. They won't get investigated because they are the people doing these crimes. They corrupted everybody, I guess, with 9/11. Like, they must have had a huge corruption cabal before that, but after 9/11, you can't have, if you're even if you're as far-flung as Australian intelligence who agreed to say nothing, you would feel like, oh, if this comes out, our club of death is going to be ruined. and we'd be implicated. So all that goes on. This is, you never see Hillary Clinton pale face and at a loss for words, but she got the message with the bomb in Chelsea, New York. Pale face and at a loss for words. That's when she started fainting around, like a little bit earlier than that. They must have told her, it's like if you've ever been out around an overly dramatic older woman. Nothing against women. Men have their own little ways of, but she started fainting. So anyway, all that goes on. Life should be, oh look, I got lots of pictures. Like my phone should be full of pictures of my cats and this other stuff. But instead, a solid 30 years after the science was in, they're still poisoning babies. This is the more vaccinations a country gives out, the more likely a child under 5 is to die. And these, like you could argue that the U.S. is more modernized than, I don't know, maybe not Sweden, but anyway. It's pretty clear causation. We have better weather, so I would think a child's less likely to die. Hey. They do their gang stalking stuff. They do their, this is literally how government works. At the top, besties. And then they tell us, they're the people who made ICE. And then they're the people who do the Renee Good and Alex Preddy fake killings. They want us fighting. Billionaires comfortable with blaming dirt farmers for economic problems. They know people eat it up. This right here. This is the biggest problem on the planet right now. That they're poisoning the whole planet's brains. Crazy but true. How could that happen? How could they get away with that? Well, assassinations are a big, like if an insider was looking at my life, like 17 years of torture to make me suicidal or violent, like that would be a strong deterrent. The assassinations are a strong deterrent. The money for staying in, the women, the fame, the comfortable life for staying in the cabal. That's why nobody talks. The people who talk get dead and you never hear about it because censored YouTube videos and censored
I think I knew from about the age of 9 or 10 that I wanted to be a scientist.
He says, it's Stephen Hawking if you don't keep up with anything. The leading scientist from the beginning of the century. The leading physicist. He just says over and over, I want to go home and live with my mother in her house. I want to go home and live with my mother in her house. That was when he could still talk. And they used him to drive agendas. All that goes on. Here's the FBI's letter to Martin Luther King Jr. that he should kill himself because he went to prostitutes. That's how they're like, oh, we saw you watch porn. Therefore, we are the righteous bioterrorists who fake all news, and how dare you say anything. It's a small part of the mind control torture that goes on in my life. But Martin Luther King Jr., you're filth, dirt, evil, moronic talk. Like that was the opinion of the deputy director of the FBI about Martin Luther King Jr., like one of the greatest men of last century. That's how they really think. That's how they try and control things. That's how they wind up controlling things. This should be life. This should be. I should be happy that I made an AI art of my cat, but instead, or even a better AI art of my cat, but instead,
Trade Center.
Stalkings and baby poisoning. They're very bad men. Very, very bad men. This is how they always do. They're doing the same thing with climate change now. The sun warms the planet, and they know it goes in trends, but they know most people don't pay attention to science, so don't know that. So they can say, oh my god, it's warming up. We need to bomb people with neurotoxins. And then the insider pilots are like, oh, the people wouldn't understand. We need to bomb them with neurotoxins. Like, they always bomb right on top of cities, not on top of, like, unpopulated areas with their neurotoxins and their radioactive bombing. But you can't make a cloud at 40,000 feet and cool the planet. It just doesn't happen. The atmosphere goes up 400,000 feet. It'd be like putting a window in the middle of your living room and opening the doors and thinking that the window in the middle of your living room was going to keep the weather out of your living room. But, so right after measles disappeared in 99% of the population, then they began vaccinating. And they said, it was fresh in people's minds. People were like, oh, where did measles go? And they're like, we started giving you baby poison. We started poisoning your brains. That's what cured it. And it's never come back because natural immunity is a real thing. Our immune systems develop, counter these things. Hey. This is how they do. Like, this is the psychotic Joker-like laugh that they have at us. Dr. Lie When Lying, the hero martyr for COVID, laying in a hospital bed in communist China, where they don't let you speak freely and they don't have American freedom, for 2 weeks, broadcast from his hospital bed to the world that was listening, and communist China didn't stop him. Again, they collude at the top. China, NATO, Israel, all collude on the false flag wars, the bioterrorism. It's the set plays they do where it was like a few weeks before the COVID hearings. They flew a Chinese spy weather balloon across the U.S. Now, spy balloons are Civil War technology. But communist China, the most populated nation on the planet almost, right? Are they more populated than India? I don't even know. I can't keep up with anything anymore. Anyway. But they used Civil War technology. Said, hey, look over here, guys. Look over here. You're looking over here right before the congressional COVID hearings in case something came out with COVID. In case some truth snuck through. All they would have had to do is point and say, I guess it must have been the Chinese. Yeah, hey, they just flew that weather balloon across the country. They were spying on us. Like, they have access to apps, and like everybody who's got TikTok on their phone, China can be like, okay, what's he looking at? What's his camera see? What's he saying? Where they have spy satellites that I know someone who's in the Air Force told me in like 2002, 2003 or something, that they could read the signature on a Louisville Slugger from space with a satellite. So China can definitely do that too. China didn't need to float, hey, look over here, look over here. And again, it's just one small proof. Proves massive corruption. The Westminster car attack. These two people are standing on the bridge. There's a victim on the ground. This woman's calling for help. It's such a desperate scene. Yeah, they got their crisis actors installed. And then later, another camera goes down the street. But the car only went down the street once. Later, the people who were taking photos are now laying on the ground in a pool of blood. They sat down, put on makeup. Again, with a Dr. Lie When Lying thing. Their joke names. The first woman who died in the Westminster car attack hoax was named Aisha Freud. Aisha Freud. The Berlin truck attack. The backstory was Anal O busted Anus's gay Muslim preacher before, but they just stopped short of catching Anus. That was the perpetrator's name, was Anus. And Anal O was his gay Muslim preacher. the Boston Marathon bomber's name was Jokers Are Naive. Hey. I guess they get bored when they're faking news. They've been doing this for a while, I'm pretty sure, because if you ever look up the woman who was stranded on an island in the 1800s on like Blue Dolphin Island or something, her name was Joanna Mary. Ha ha ha. They go a little psychotic when they go full evil. But anyway, all that goes on. There's my gang stalkers. I said to my family, the devil horns are arbitrary. Might as well be the hang loose sign. The day before this. And then this guy with his New World Order hang loose sign, hand sign shirt, just walking in front of me in the supermarket for 10 minutes on his phone. Like shadowing me from the front, slow walking. And the guy on the phone was like, okay, go left now. Okay, go right. Hey. Anyway, all that goes on. Your government is Nazi buyer terrorists. Fake all news. The Obama's daughters. I mean, like Joan Rivers said, she's a tranny, we all know. And then Joan Rivers died a month later in plastic surgery by like the most elite plastic surgeons on the planet. But Obama's best friends, Obama's daughters look a lot more like their best friends than they look like the Obamas. Hey. Crazy but true. And all that goes on. So really the big problems are the baby poisoning and the sky poisoning and the 5G mind control that they did COVID to mask. I know I'm on repeat with this stuff, but when they were saying that Venezuelans were eating cats and dogs, I got on Facebook Venezuela. They changed it like shortly after that you couldn't just search a country anymore and come up with like only results from that country, but these were the photos of Venezuelans when they were saying that they were starving in the streets. There were kids going to karate practice and getting trophies and stuff. But it was a nation that didn't have New World Order cabal ownership. It was a nation where people could live without the 5G mind control that they're building, AI mind control. Again, it's people think these things are inevitable or whatever. Oh, they're going to do it, but you put a security guard in a candy store and the theft rate goes down a lot. Hey. It doesn't have to be a proper World War III that they want. Whatever they want. I don't know. Anyway. All that goes on.